Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're all well. I've got so many things to update you all on. Thank you very much to those of you that have just recently started following, and to everybody else, welcome back. I hope you enjoy today's video. So in today's video, you're going to see me really busy. So for those of you that play this and then start working in your own house, I hope it gives you some motivation to keep on going. The video is about 30 minutes, so that'll just enable you to have 30 minutes of focused time doing whatever you're doing. For those of you that are watching my video as part of a break, having a cup of tea or coffee and a sit down, then I hope you find it useful. So the video is a bit of a mix. You'll see me getting lots of my washing dry in the beautiful sunny weather that we've been having. It's been really hot in the United Kingdom. You'll also see me putting the washing on in the first place, tidying up the dining room, just trying to keep on top of things generally, sorting out my piles of washing. But my biggest headache is my kitchen. How do people stay on top of the kitchen? The kitchen just seems to be a never-ending nightmare. All advice and recommendations, very welcome, because I'm at the point where I'm going on strike with the kitchen. What do you think? Should I go on strike? So the weeks pass by really quickly, and I guess what happens is I'm just not doing daily work on the kitchen, am I? So the kitchen just slips back because it's used all the time, and when I'm working and when my husband's working, not really much happens with the kitchen. So in terms of the week, as I said, it has gone by really quickly. Monday, I always have Mondays off. I try to have Mondays off, as you know. So I went to the gym first thing in the morning. Now the gym is going quite well. So did I tell you that I had my focus session? So my focus session after 1 month. So I had 1 week where I didn't go at all. That was the half-term week because my daughter was off and it was my birthday. And at the moment she's not had her induction, so she can't come along to the gym. She's not allowed in the gym, so I didn't go for 1 week. But every other week I've either been twice or 3 times. So this last week I went twice. I went Monday morning, first thing. So I dropped my daughter off at school and then went to the gym. The only thing that I'm finding is some of the exercises are hurting parts of my body. So I'd say for probably a week, my shoulder was in quite a lot of pain. So I'm stopping one of the exercises. One of the other exercises hurt my back. It hurt my back while I was doing it, and then it hurt my back. My back kept twinging as I was sitting at my desk on the computer. And I thought, really, I want to be fitter and I want to be stronger and I want to lose a bit of weight, but not if this is going to cause me a problem with my spine. So I stopped doing that exercise. I also didn't like that exercise because it was on these fitness mats, and I don't like them at all. They smell and people sit on them. And then one of the exercises was supposed to be me lying on my tummy doing like the Superman thing, and my face was like quite close to the mat. I didn't like that at all. So when it then hurt my spine, I thought, okay, I'm not doing that exercise anymore. Then one of the exercises, as I said, really hurt my shoulder. And then one of the ones for my legs put so much pressure on my knees, I could really feel it in my knee joints. So in this focus session, it was quite good. So this was not Friday, just gone, the Friday before. So he went through everything and I just said, look, I'm not doing these exercises because they're causing me pain and I don't feel comfortable doing them. He said, that's fine. And then with the knee exercises, he showed that my feet needed to be turned out slightly. And I decided that I'd lift 20 and not 30. But I've lost weight as well, and I've gained more muscle. So it's making a difference. So it's not going to be a sprint. It's going to be longer term, but I am quite pleased about that. Then Tuesday I had a few meetings, and then Wednesday I was delivering a training session, which I was pleased. That went really well. So I was pleased about that. A good level of engagement. I think I took these workshops on just over a year ago. And do you know, when I took them, I know a couple of you are teachers or tutors, so you'll have experience of this. But when I took them on, The previous tutor had never requested cameras or the use of mics. Now, I do know that some people really struggle with this, but unless you've got a specific, issue around anxiety or sort of general problems, if you're trending a training session, my view is to fully involve yourself, which means you need to use your mic and the camera. You need your camera on. So it went from nobody putting their camera on and nobody using their mic to then 2 people using their mic and 2 people putting their camera on. Now, I've set the expectation so that all cameras are on and all mics must be used. And if your camera's not working or your mic's not working, then they have to speak to their individual tutor about that and not attend the workshop until that's ready to go. So that's working really well in terms of engagement. And then straight after, I don't quite know how I managed to time this, but on the Thursday, I had one of my big meetings. So it's a meeting that I coordinate and I chair, and I usually have between 80 and 90 people. And this time I had 90 people. It's only for an hour, but it's really good. So it's really good to see that a number of people continually coming. So I've now been running this sort of network group for just over 2 years. So I will find these things are successful when the administration is good, they're well organised and people are getting something out of the sessions. So I was happy about that. And then Friday I worked all day, but I took an hour and a half for my lunch break. So I just took a big lunch break. So obviously I'm not paid for that. And I went to the gym. And then Saturday was spent getting my daughter ready to go to France. So that's a really big thing in our family in terms of our daughter going away for quite a few nights. As you know, she's got all these allergies, so there's a lot more to think about in terms of food, medication and checks. So that has occupied a significant proportion of my thoughts over the course of this week. So in terms of my comment about going on strike in the kitchen, other than everybody eating from paper plates and plastic knives and forks, which is absolutely awful for the environment, any suggestions on what I can do? Do I do a timer and do 30 minutes a day in the kitchen? That would be one option, wouldn't it? Are there any tips from Fly Lady that I could follow other than polishing the sink, which, as you all know, lasted for about 8 days? Because I need to do something, because this last week the kitchen really has fallen behind. When the kitchen falls behind, the rest of the house just seems to fall behind. Do you know, I had a dream, and my dad's partner was at their house doing some painting, and she'd taken a photograph of her doing some painting from a new paint station. Now, I don't have any awareness or knowledge that she ever does any painting. I've never heard that she has ever painted in her life. But my dream was that she'd taken these selfies and put them on Facebook of her painting a picture. And I had seen that, and then I said, oh, I'd love to do some painting, but I can't do painting because look at all my stuff on the floor. I need to pick everything up. And in my head, I wanted to say, everybody needs to pick up 20 things, but I didn't want her to be upset at the fact that I was asking her to pick up 20 things. So I think that might mean something. And a lot of you have said to me, well, I need to get my daughter and husband to do a bit more. But my husband does quite a lot with the foods. And I mean, like, from my daughter going away, he's cooked her 2 salmon en croûte, which she absolutely loved, and they did look delicious. He's cooked her 12 sausage rolls, sausage rolls for the journey and for breakfast. He cut up all her peppers and cucumber and cooked her beans. So he does do a lot more than quite a lot of other people. I don't know, maybe I just need to set myself a timer that every day from 7:30 to 8, I'm going to work in the kitchen. Who knows? Maybe I need to stop doing voiceovers and instead do my kitchen. Anyway, I want to go through some of your comments now. So thank you very, very much for all the comments that you've added to my channel. As you all know, I love reading them. and they give me a lot of enjoyment and pleasure just to read through to see what you're all doing, what your views are of things, what your suggestions are. I find it really, really interesting. So the first comment that I'm going to go through is from Zoe. Zoe Posner. Hi Zoe, how are you? Zoe says, well, I just finished watching this video and my word, hasn't Minnie Emma got the best singing voice? Happy birthday to Mummy, wonderful. Hope you're in a choir, Minnie Emma. Sending love. And then Zoe goes on to say, we actually stayed overnight in a beautiful Airbnb near Carlisle. En route, we had a lovely walk along the river in Kirby Lonsdale and lunch in an old pub. The food was delicious. When we arrived at our destination, we shared bubbles, games and a little pamper session. We had a great time. One of my daughters drove, so we were chauffeur driven too. Keep up the great work, Emma, and well done, Minnie Emma, for taking yourself off to revise for your exams. Good girl, sending love. Thank you for your lovely post, Zoe, and it's lovely to hear about what you did for your weekend away with your family, all the girls together. That sounds really, really lovely. Sounds like it went perfectly. And my daughter is in a choir, and she's just auditioned for this part, and she doesn't think she's got a call back for it. And she said that means that she hasn't got the part. And I said, don't worry, because if you hadn't, you can only, there's only one, if you don't go for something, you're never going to get it, are you? So she didn't do the audition. She definitely wouldn't have got it. So by doing the audition, she had a chance. I, of course, slightly biased, think she'd be absolutely perfect for the role. Even if she wasn't my child, I do look at her and think she'd be perfect for the role. But still, there's probably other children that need to have a strong role for their GCSEs, so I told her not to worry about it. So she will do something in this school play, but just not that part. Cindy on YouTube. Hello, Cindy. She said, I absolutely love your fireplace. I tried to follow the Fly Lady system, but my goodness, there were just too many rules and I got lost in the list of things to do. Yeah, I feel that too. Cindy, I can't remember where you're from. Can you let me know where you're from, please, if you don't mind? I'd like to know where you're from. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It just felt like it was overwhelming, and that everything everywhere was already overwhelming, so I don't need something else that's overwhelming. Stacey says, I enjoyed watching you painting. Thankfully you didn't fall and painted safely. Stacey from Virginia. Thank you, Stacey. Clean with Kate. So Clean with Kate says, hi Emma, I love the Fly Lady system. Have we done the Fly Lady baby steps? Decluttering is a big part of the Fly Lady system, and I agree about starting in the kitchen. Very good. So Kate's going to let me know more about the baby steps, or I'm going to Google them, one of the two. So next comment is from Karen Davis. How are you, Karen? Karen says, many years ago, when I had no idea how to get or keep my home tidy, I checked out Fly Lady's website. I found it chaotic and overwhelming and knew right away that it wasn't for me. You were doing great, Emma. It's not like you're lounging around all day and doing nothing. You're one of the busiest people I've ever seen. Just keep going. I do hear you, Karen, but obviously what I'm doing is not enough, is it? So it's got to be some other answer, because what I'm doing is just not enough. Rainy Milliman says, having had rental properties in the past, I know the kind of things that can end up with after they've moved out. I also rented out the upstairs of our home. That was originally built with the idea of having it to rent out to help pay the mortgage. It was a small apartment with one bedroom, bath, tiny living room and a kitchenette. That still sounds nice though. The rent from it did help pay the mortgage, but it was more important to me to have a tenant who is quiet and respectful and responsible. Not everyone wants to live above their landlord, and for the short time that I lived there, we had two different renters, both of which were wonderful people. The duplex was a different story though, and I was fortunate enough to get out of the relationship, sell the house to my partner at the time, and also letting go of the duplex. I moved on to a new life eventually, and should anyone ask, no, I was not properly compensated for either of them, but peace of mind is much more valuable sometimes than property or money. Having fought way too long to get out of my marriage, I learned what was important and when to fight. Oh, that sounds like a very, very difficult time. Well done you, though. I learned what was important. Sometimes a smart thing is to walk away, or the healthiest thing. In the meantime, Today I have 9 boxes, which was the second half of my decluttering out on the curb for the Epilepsy Foundation to pick up. Another 9 boxes. You are doing fantastically. Do you have more stuff than me? Sounds like you might have more stuff than me, or you're being far more ruthless than me. Now I've just got to make arrangements for my 3 boxes of books to be brought to the library. Then I suppose I have to start all over again. Oh, hope you're having a good week. By the way, after seeing what you went through with your current situation, I agree that doing the paperwork yourself was a very good idea, and I apologise for you for indicating that maybe it wasn't necessary for you to do it yourself. In the case of it protecting your assets in this type of arrangement, I do think it is essential that you do the paperwork yourself, especially in this day and age where everyone seems to get off the hook by being accountable or responsible in their jobs, obviously with some exceptions. Yeah, off the hook of being accountable and responsible in their jobs. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You don't need to apologise, but thank you for your comments. I just feel like you have got to be so thorough. And as it is, I did all the paperwork myself, but can you believe the estate agent didn't actually do it properly? I filled in all the inventory, and all they needed, I paid them £100. It was originally £100 plus VAT, but then I negotiated £100 including VAT. And all they had to do was go room to room and confirm with the lady that everything was fine. What they actually did was they gave the lady the documents, and she scribbled things on it that I can't actually read. And then when I've then checked with them, that says things like damage here and damage there, which I don't know anything about, and they haven't given any photos. So normally what I do is if someone highlights damage or a problem, then if I agree, and usually I just say yes, that's fine, and then I write on the document and we both initial it. But unfortunately it's been done so as kind of scribbled in such a way. I messaged them back and said, please can you send me the photographs of the damage which has been highlighted on the inventory, and can you tell me what it actually says? They're not the best really, but I have limited options, because if I go to another estate agent they might be even worse. So let's just hope this lady and everything goes okay and this lady is fine. So next comment is from Lisa Bullock, and Lisa is from New Zealand. That's an interesting name, that is, because that sounds like a British name. Anyway, Lisa says, hi from New Zealand. There are so many different approaches to tidying and decluttering. One size doesn't fit all, but eventually you find what suits you. Thank you very much, Lisa. It's a very good point. Barbara Fuchs 9031. Barbara says, I found your channel today and I love your encouraging videos. Diane in Denmark explains the Fly Lady system in a way that is not overwhelming, but really makes life easier in my opinion. All the best from Austria. I live near Vienna. Oh, wow. I did comment back and said thank you for finding me, Barbara, and I love Austria. Oh, Austria is just so lovely. But do you know, I've never been to Vienna. I need to visit Vienna. Somewhere else I need to add to my list. Bbop, Australia. Hello, B. So B's from Australia. So B says, hello, lovely Emma. B from Australia here. Wow, you got so much done in your last video. Do you have any tips for dealing with clutter when living in smaller size houses with limited storage? Unlike many houses in other parts of the world, here in Australia, most of our houses don't have attics or basements to use for storage. We also don't have a garage or shed. Now, to be honest, I don't think for people like me, basements and attics and sheds and garages actually help. Our first house, when we were first married, when I didn't know what to do with something, I just used to put it up in the loft. And my husband boarded it all out, he put a light up there for me. And when we moved out, it was like, there was like almost like the contents of another whole house that I just put up there in boxes. So I'm not sure they really help. But what I would say, I'm not sure that I'm the best person to ask, because I really understand the challenges. But I think the container method works quite well for this sort of issue. So choose a container for whatever the item is, and everything's got to fit within that box. And then that restricts you, and that makes you make those decisions as you go along, as opposed to getting a house full of things and then having to make that decision, which is much, much harder. B goes on to say, I know I have to make lots of hard decisions with letting go and decluttering items, but I get stuck with where to put things I want to keep. Yeah, it's hard. Love to you all and your YouTube family. I also think it's quite good to choose furniture which is useful for storage. So I'd make sure that every item of furniture has some sort of system where that enables you to store things. Like, you know how we've got the bed with the massive great drawers, you can get tables with drawers underneath them. Yeah, that's what I'd do. I'd also look at furniture which has got, you know, another purpose for storage. Karen Howard. Hello, Karen's from Ottawa in Canada. So my dad has had a fantastic time in Vancouver. Really, really had a lovely time. And I do think Canada is similar to America in that we sometimes forget how big it is, those people that don't live there. So I messaged my cousin and I said, oh, my dad's in Vancouver. And she said, that's the other side of the country, which is around 9 to 10 days away. And where she lives, it takes a whole day from from one side of the, is it territory, or one side of this the county or state to the other. It takes a whole day. So Karen says, smiling at the person who slipped in a glass on the wrong counter at the last minute while your back was turned. I saw that on playback, Karen. Just spent a couple of stressful days taking my older sister for cataract surgery many kilometres away. We spent 2 nights in a really cute chalet motel. Not handicap friendly, but they have beautiful gardens and huge pots of flowers. At night the whole area is lit up with coloured spotlights too. 2-star, but still over $200 per night. Oh my goodness. I need to work out how much Canadian dollars are to sterling. Have to go back next week for her other eye. Glad I have a few days to get over it. Emma, you accomplished so much. And though many of the tasks are repetitive, it truly means that your family can enjoy their home in all iterations. Peace and hugs, Karen. Oh, so you've probably been back again. It's so lovely that you're going with your sister to support her. It's a shame it was stressful. It's a shame that it was so expensive. But it does sound really nice, the fact they've got really lovely gardens. That's certainly something to enjoy. And it sounds very pretty how they lit up the area. I guess by now you've gone back again. Right, next comment is from Danish Buyer. I think I'm saying that right. Danish, maybe? Danish Buyer? Says, thanks so much. I really enjoyed the video, Emma. It's always lovely to see you, to hear about your life and be encouraged by you. I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Zelda Tutu. I don't think I've had a comment from you before, so thank you, Zelda. Zelda says, hello, good day from Melbourne, Australia. I agree with your sentiments regarding Fly Lady. The app is easier to navigate, but it's still too much for those of us who work outside the home. So can you see my kitchen is like on and Ariston? Honestly, every time I spend some time on it, and then literally the next video I'm wearing different clothes and the kitchen's gone back again. So I really just need to do I think I need to do double the amount of time, and I need to get it back how it was about a month ago. It slipped and slipped and slipped. That's the thing. A couple of other things I just wanted to update you on. So I agreed, I've got a new person who's doing some work, some DIY work. The person who I normally use is a few things really. He goes on holiday every summer for 5 weeks, so it's quite a long time to wait. And as well as that, there's 2 things that he hasn't really done very well. I felt he let me down a bit. There was a job that he was working on, and then a member of my family needed him to do some work, so he directed all of his attention to that job, and then my job has just gone on and on and on. When I finally checked it, there's still a problem. Basically, the wall is still damaged, and still needs further work doing to it. So he hasn't done it. So I think whatever is causing, I think it's like there's some sort of leak or something, whatever is causing the problem is still ongoing. The bill was more expensive than what I envisaged. He said that's because he had to do it twice. Well, by the looks of it, the second time didn't work and the first time didn't work. And then also, I've had a leak with the bath. And I contacted him and said, oh, I've been told the bath is still leaking. And he said, no, absolutely not possible. It must be because they're not being careful. Now, whilst I do know that people aren't careful, so for example, once I was dealing with someone who didn't realise that the shower curtain had to go inside the bath. So I do know that often people aren't careful. But I went to the house and tested it. So this is at Great Yarmouth, and it is leaking. So we filled the bath up, drained the water away, and it is leaking. Only like literally drip, 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 but enough to damage the ceiling. So I was disappointed about that. So you can see here I'm doing some sorting out in the bedroom. Recycling and rubbish. I was getting accumulation of things that needed to be sorted out. Also my pile of washing was getting bigger. So I really wanted to go through and put loads of clothes away. It's kind of like the story of my life, isn't it? The story of my life is laundry and kitchen. Well, not really the story of my life, but you know what I mean. It feels like it's forever. It feels like you're never on top of it. And however hard I tried to try and give the jobs that I don't like to other people, it doesn't work. So you'll see me put all the washing away. So I'm going to go on to my next comment while I finish doing that. The next comment I wanted to go through is from Alice Gorgeous. Now Alice says, Dear Emma, thank you very much for your kind words. What you describe with your tenant's abuse is very symptomatic of the modern world. Education standards have gone down, children's development is neglected, and everyone suffers as a result. My children often ask me what the word I've used in a sentence means. I feel like a dying breed. Still, I will not change my bored diction to suit others. We've a new kitchen floor this week. It looks amazing, and I'm relieved to have the kitchen contents out of my lounge. I'm cheering you on, Emma. I like to watch your videos whilst I do chores. Much love to you three. What a lovely post. I'm so pleased to hear that you put on my video whilst you're busy getting on in your house. Couple of comments. I think you're correct. As I explained with the tenant, I felt for him for many, many years because of his struggles. But also this is so much support and assistance out there. So where I live, if somebody wanted to improve their English or improve their maths, regardless of kind of their background, they can sign up to an English and maths course. Go along, for example, to the library, and they'll have people support them. So, you know, you can continually improve. So whilst I really sort of felt for the person, and I felt for the person's communication skills, because it's almost like every time they get frustrated, that's either they're calm or they get angry because they just can't communicate. And as for your language, I think that's fantastic, and keep on doing exactly as you are, because when your children ask you about different words, that's only going to improve their vocabulary. I think that's great. Interested in your kitchen floor. So is that laminate, tiles? What sort of thing have you put down? Lino? You've said it looks amazing, so I'd like to know what that's like. Kitchen floors can really change the whole look of the kitchen, can't they? I really love that. I remember when I had some work done in the kitchen and I had to empty a lot of the kitchen out, so I feel the pain with everything being in the dining room. I think it was when we painted last and I had to remove everything, and there was things piled up, more than what they normally are. So I'm getting very close to the end of my video now. So I hope if those of you that have been working while you've been watching and listening, I hope you've got on well. Those of you that are relaxing, I hope you feel refreshed. I have got news because I know that I'm currently doing a giveaway for my Ladybird timers, but I've purchased something for those of you that are Christian or interested in Christianity. I've purchased something else that I'd like to send to some of you. So look out for that in the future. I'm really excited to talk about that, so I'll talk about that in one of my future videos. So next up, you're going to see a little clip of Great Yarmouth Wheels Festival. So Great Yarmouth is really, really busy. And then you're going to see some clips of me going away on a little adventure. So thank you for watching. If you are interested in my Ladybird Timer giveaway, please add a comment on this video. And I'm going to write a list of all the people's names, and once I get to 4,000 subscribers, I'm going to be doing my draw. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments where you're from if you haven't already told me as well. I'd love to know that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.